questions. So thank you. I just got the recording started. So you've been at the hotel for about 4 years, so you're familiar with our reservations formula and everything it is that we're doing on these shop calls, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, fantastic. Good. Well, we've had the same set of required skills for a couple of years now. And so I thought, hey, let's raise the bar a little bit, and everybody's doing a really good job. So I wanted to kind of challenge everybody. And I had a leadership session last week, and I asked the managers on that phone call, I said, how would you guys feel about increasing the set of skills and adding the resistance question? And they all agreed. They're like, yes, let's do it. So we're moving forward with that, and it's great because honestly, to me, and I don't know if it seems that way to you, but if I'm going through a phone call and I ask to make the reservation, and if the caller says no, and we just let them go, to me, it sounds like an unfinished phone call. And you think about these callers, and they initiate that phone call. Y'all certainly aren't picking up the phone book and just making random calls to people, ask them if they want to come to town. Somebody who's already interested in the hotel, they're coming to the area for a reason, they're calling for, to get a hotel reservation somewhere. So if they don't make it with us, well, someone's going to grab them. So with that resistance question, that's going to help us identify why they're not staying with us, and then hopefully we'll be able to overcome any of those reasons for resistance. So there's different reasons why they might say no to making the reservation. So we want to make sure that we're asking the right questions to make sure that we're giving them the correct information. Maybe it's additional amenities they're looking for. Maybe it's a problem with the rate. Maybe they're just still kind of shopping around. Those are all reasons that they could give. So based on how they respond to that, we'll be able to overcome that and try to get that reservation before our competitor gets that. So that's what we're going to focus on in here today. And I'm Norma. It's nice to meet you. Thanks again for being on this phone call. And I appreciate you calling in from home. I appreciate that very much. The cool thing is that you and I are both in our homes. And I don't have kids, but I've got dogs and 2 nephews who are here. I don't know who you've got at your home with you, but I totally understand if there's background noise, or the doorbell rings and the dogs go crazy, or any of that kind of stuff. That's pretty.
I just have
that's
a 3-year-old.
Very common thing here. 3-year-old. Is that your? Is it your 3-year-old?
Yes, it's my son. He's watching his iPad, so he's being very good right now.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, kudos to you for having such a well-behaved 3-year-old. If he needs mom, I completely understand. It's perfectly fine. It's just you and me, so we're very flexible and informal on these. So if you need to step away, take care of him, or just answer any questions or whatever, maybe start the next whatever he's doing on his iPad, you feel free to go ahead and do that. My 6-year-old nephew is in the other room watching Blue's Clues. So it usually just kind of plays, where it just streams one episode after the other. But by the time he gets to the last one, he's like, he doesn't know how to start him over. So he'll come around and find somebody to get something else started for him. So I completely understand that. I wanted to give you a frame of reference here. Oh, and you know what? I just realized that, all right, there we go. I was not sharing my screen. Bam, now I am. Can you see that now where I've got the magic? There we go. I know you were just looking at that white screen, weren't you, for a little bit? There we go. So I wanted to give you kind of a frame of reference on where we are in the phone call when that resistance question pops up. So, of course, you've gone through with, what's bringing them into the area and benefits before rate, quoting the rate, and asking to make the reservation. So at that point, we're kind of letting them take over as far as their turn to talk. So we're hoping at this point that they'll say yes to making the reservation. However, we both know that that's not always the case. So if they say no, that's when we're looking at that resistance question. So just a frame of reference on where that falls in the phone call. If you were to maybe just, I don't know, take a guess as to what are some of the reasons why the guest is not making the reservation with you right now, what are some of the most common reasons on why they don't confirm? What do you hear from them?
Probably because the rate's too high. We don't have something that they want as far as like an amenity. Like at my hotel, we don't have a pool, so that turns a lot of people away. Like you said earlier, sometimes they're just shopping around for rates and not really set on anything yet.
Yeah, I mean, and not only are they shopping around for rates, but maybe even those that are just maybe kind of gathering all the information about all the hotels, and even if you hit the
Mhm.
mark with everything that they're looking for, you're still gonna have those callers that don't feel like they've done their job well unless they call everybody. So, I mean, as far as the hotels in your area go, you don't have a lot of competitors who are doing what you're doing on the phone call. In fact, the only other hotels out in your area who even use this magic formula are going to be your other hospitality management corporation hotels. So it's
Mhm.
you and Slidell in the area who are doing that. That's it. I don't
Oh,
go to
that's it.
Louisiana. None of my coworkers go to Louisiana to train anybody on site. So when it comes to everybody in the Pearl River, Slidell area, y'all are the only ones who sound like this.
Okay.
So if you do have
I
that
didn't know
caller
that.
that's calling around and they're, yeah, isn't that kind of cool? It really does give you the edge over the competition because
Mhm.
nobody else sounds like you or sounds like you. So even if you've got that person that's still calling around, they got to call everybody. No one's going to sound like you, or even try to connect with that caller and give them the information. So you're already making a huge impression. I'm sure over the 4 years of you being there, there's been plenty of times where they said, okay, I'm not ready to call around, and they end up calling you back within that same
Yeah.
shift. They're like, okay, I'll make it now, right? Yeah.
Mhm. That's
And
true.
that's good. And hopefully at that point, you still have it available, right, Mary? Because you and I both know that that availability goes away very quickly, or it certainly could.
Yes, definitely.
It's,
Especially on the
yeah.
weekends.
Oh, I'm sure. And then coming into this time of year where you've got spring break and then Easter and rolling right into summer. And oh my God, there's always something going on in your area too. So lots of,
Yeah.
I always think it's so funny when you've got somebody who's coming in for, like even Mardi Gras. I know y'all get, you get the, oh my gosh, kind of the overflow, right? A French
Oh yeah.
Quarter, you get a lot of that. And the guests, that caller, they're like, God, what's going on? Why are the rates so high? Blah, blah, blah. You're like, it's Mardi Gras. That's why you're coming. So, you would think that they wouldn't be surprised by, some of those things that are in place that aren't year round, like the cancellation policy being, a lot further out, or advanced deposit, or, those types of things, or even the rate changes. So we want to say those
Yeah.
things to the callers, but we don't. We just very kindly educate them on what's happening. So, and that's exactly what we're doing in this entire phone call, is really just kind of educating them on what your hotel has to offer, what you can do for them, location, amenities, and then thank you for sharing with me some of the reasons why they don't want to make the reservation.
Mhm.
Better that we find out why they don't want to so we can try to overcome that than maybe it's just kind of a guessing game. So,
Mhm.
does every guest make the reservation with you the first time you ask them?
No.
They do not. No. So when they say no, or when they don't say yes, what goes through your mind when they don't agree to make a reservation? Not necessarily what do you say out loud, but what goes through your mind when they say no?
Like, why not? Why? What do we need that would make you want to stay here, or what do I need to
I
tell
love that.
you that's gonna
Yeah,
make you want to stay here?
I love it. And by the way, can I tell you that you're already using one of the very key words in the resistance question, which is the what.
Mhm.
What do I need to tell you? What other information? What was missing from what I told you? I know a lot of times too. So I used to be a signature client before I started as a trainer with the company almost 19 years ago. So in my head, the things that I would think was like, God, we're the best hotel out here. What's their problem?
Mhm.
Or oh my God, is it the rate? Because you know as well as I do, there are some people who are very vocal about that rate. They will tell you.
Mhm.
And then others that just stay really quiet. So I would think, God, is it the rate? Or, of course, with the signature shop calls, we never make the reservations. So there's always going to be, a no when you ask to make the reservation. So sometimes it's like, it's a shop call, right? But it's
Mhm.
all like a big, huge question mark as to why they're not making it. So that is the whole purpose of our resistance question. So when they don't agree to make the reservation, even if they don't come right out and they use the words no, if they don't use those words, it's just our way to figure out why they don't want to make it. And some of the other words they could use as opposed to no could be I'm calling around for availability, I'm checking rates, I need to ask my husband, or I need to ask my wife. I mean, I'm sure you heard that. I don't know how many
That's
times
a
you would
big
hear
one.
that in an 8-hour shift. Yeah, it's a huge one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I need to verify dates before I make a reservation, whether they're flying or driving or whatever it is, or even just a simple, I'm going to have to think about it. I'll give you a call back. So those are all kind of versions of no.
Right.
You will have some of those guests that'll come right out and they'll tell you that rate's too high, or hey, do you guys have a swimming pool, or how close are you to the French Quarter, or some of them will come right out and they'll ask you questions or they'll tell you. Others a little bit more vague, like the examples on the slide. That's when we want to make sure that we're drilling it down and getting rid of that big question mark of why they don't want to make it and just simply asking them. So it's the way to explore the objections that they might have. It's a way to figure out what it is that they need that we might not have even told them about. When you think about all the stuff you have to offer at your hotel and in the area, I mean, you're really giving them just kind of a high level snapshot of what you have to offer. 4 or 5 things about the hotel, a little bit of description of the room, and that's it. So it could absolutely be something specific they're looking for. Something we might have, something we may not have. So that's okay too. We could overcome that also. And when we're asking that resistance question, it's really a reflection of us listening to them, demonstrating our listening techniques and our listening skills. And it can even be you truly demonstrating your listening skills by kind of throwing their answer back into the resistance question, so kind of back in their face, but in a very positive way. So, when I showed the, I got to check with my husband or wife, you agreed that that was a very common one that you hear, right?
Yeah, all the time.
Imagine all the time. I think it's everybody's kind of quote unquote go-to excuse maybe. Like they figured out, oh, that's the easiest way for me to get off the phone, right? Even with a walk-in, they'll do that. The husband comes in and the wife's out in the car. Well, let me go tell my wife, I'll be back. Next thing you know, they're driving away, right? So even in person, they'll do that. Yeah. So imagine if you could take that and put it into your resistance question. So if they said, well, I'm going to check with my husband, I'll let you know. You could say something like, you could ask, well, I understand you got to check with your husband. What questions do you think he might have about the hotel that I might be able to answer for you today? So it's really, again, demonstrating that great listening, those listening skills that you have and kind of, even making that life, think about, wow, what questions would he have? Let me go ahead and get the answers now so I don't have to keep making phone calls or whatever it is. So different ways that you can word that resistance question. And absolutely, bottom line, it comes down to just trying to know why they're not doing it. So it's making sure we're asking the right questions for the right reasons at the right time and definitely in the right tone of voice. I will never forget this. It was in my early years of working with Signature, and my God, it's been almost 19 years. So there's a lot of stuff that I should have forgotten, and I probably did, but I've never forgot listening to a phone call with one of my clients. And the little girl on the phone says, would you like to make the reservation? Of course, we said no. And she goes, well, why not? I told y'all about my hotel. Why don't you want to stay here? And I about died. We were in person together, right? So I said, okay, I go get up and ask me that exactly the way you did on the phone. So exactly the way I pictured it, with her hands on her hips and her head bobbing back and forth and her little scowl on her face. I said, it's exactly what you sounded like on that call. Yes, that's what we want to know, but you got to ask it the right way, the right tone of voice, and the right words for sure. It's like, okay, I get it now. So, that tone of voice is huge, and certainly the word choice, especially when that caller has said no, and we're trying to keep them on the phone and figure out why. We want them to understand the true intent of the question. So I'm sure you don't have any challenges with the right words because you did a lot of them for me earlier, and probably not with finding the right tone of voice either. Are you pretty comfortable when you're asking what else they're looking for or what other questions they have? It seems to me like you've already kind of been asking that question a little bit, even though it's not required of you.
Yeah, every phone call is different, that's for sure. So I kind of just go along with, how that person is as well. So that's a big part of it. But I've been doing, some practice calls with the Signature on-demand people, and they've been suggesting for me to use that at the end. And I was like, that's a really good idea. So I've been kind of incorporating it in my calls, the last couple weeks.
I love it. And how fantastic is that they're making that recommendation? And so there you already kind of have a leg up on everybody else too, since you've been talking about it and practicing that and adding it into your phone calls, probably before it was even decided as a company, through HMC, to go ahead and add that in as a required skill. So kudos to you. That completely explains why you had that verbiage ready to go when I asked about, what do you want, what goes to your mind when they say no. So I love hearing that. Yay. So, and it also explains why you immediately jump to an open-ended resistance question, because it's very, I'm going to put these on the screen for you to look at, but, and it might have even been a conversation you had with our coaches when you were calling into them, the whole thing about the open-ended versus the closed-ended, where it's almost like as human beings, we're programmed to just say, oh, is there anything else I can help you with? And that's very closed-ended, where your caller goes, no, and that's it. We don't know anything more about them. So we have to really focus on training ourselves to ask the open-ended, what else can I tell you? And then being more specific about the hotel or area that's going to help with your decision. Because even if we ask it open-ended, but we leave it too vague, you could get the craziest response from them. So it could be, what else can I help you with? And they might go, oh my God, how many beads were handed out on Fat Tuesday this year here in Mardi Gras? And I don't know, maybe I don't know, there might be some crazy person or company out there who's gathering that sort of insane information, right? Or you just go, I have no idea. There's no way to even count those, and they go, okay, thanks, bye. We still have no idea why they don't want to stay. So it's really, what is it about the hotel or the area? So getting those in there too. The ones that are in front of you, the examples that I have in front of you, any of these that you're really kind of drawn to, that you like, or is there one that you're currently using that's not up here that you would like to share with me, just to ensure that it's going to be the good qualifying open-ended resistance question?
I guess what I've been asking is kind of like the second one. I just say, like, what other questions can I answer for you about the hotel or the area? So I guess I'm leaving it. I mean, it's kind of vague, but not really. I'm at least asking what they want to know about the hotel or the area, but I've been kind of sticking to that for the most part.
By the way, your question is perfect. Perfect. Okay. What are the questions do you have, or what are the questions about the hotel or area can I answer for you? Perfect. They're all, I mean, if you look at these, and I'm going to actually send you, we have a couple of training moments that I'm going to send you. One of them is going to be on the resistance question, and one is on the fallback options, which we'll look at in just a moment. The training moments are basically like a coaching call on paper. So it's a little bit about the skill, why we do it, how to do it, examples. So I'm going to send you that. And then I also have like a flyer that's got probably about 10 or 12 additional examples of the resistance question. And you'll notice that they're all worded a little bit different, but they're all basically asking the same thing. So what you just shared with me as the resistance question that you're comfortable with and that you've been asking, that is perfect. It's beautiful. It's comfortable for you. It's the one that you sound most comfortable asking. And that's absolutely what I want. I want you to be comfortable when you're asking that too. So you just rock on and keep asking that one. It's perfect. Okay. It's perfect. Perfect. What kind of response have you had from the real caller when you're asking that question? Have you had mostly positive responses from them? Like they'll share the reason or they'll ask you the questions?
Yeah, it seems like they stop and actually think about what questions they actually do have. And some of them will come up with other questions that they didn't ask me during the phone, at the end of the phone call after I gave them the rates and all that. And when, after I asked them to confirm, and they're like, no, not right now. And then I asked them that, and then they asked me a few different questions. So it's like they would have totally not even asked me that if I didn't ask them that question.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my God, Mary, I'm so happy that we're recording this phone call because you're saying all the right things. That question absolutely does make them stop and think about it. And it does kind of jog their brain on, oh yeah, I did want to know about that. And you're right. If you had not prompted them, they probably wouldn't even have thought to ask those questions or share any of that information with you. I'm really happy to hear that you're having some positive results or positive interactions with the callers when you're asking that question. I'm really happy to hear it. I know that for some employees, they have a kind of an aversion to asking the question because they're like, well, God, it sounds really pushy or like I'm being really nosy. I'm like, no, remember, they're calling you. So there's something specific that we just didn't share with them. There's something that's missing. So let's figure out what that is. If we were making cold calls and we were pushing, absolutely. And by the way, I would never train to that because I am not that kind of salesperson. That's for sure.
Yeah.
If you want to buy it, I'll sell it to you. But if you want me to go try and sell you something that you didn't even think you wanted, forget it. That's not me. I can't do that. I can't do outbound sales. Inbound sales, which is what these phone calls are, heck yeah, I can do that for sure. And I think that's a big key is to keep that in mind. You truly are salespeople, but you're managing inbound sales calls. People who are already interested, people who are going to buy. So let's figure out what's going to get them to buy from us. So, yay, I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. So asking that question, getting the information back from them on the questions or the information or whatever the reason is for not making the reservation, really keeps the ball in your court because now you've got something, something substantial that you can try to overcome. So got to be different fallback options, which you can utilize to overcome those different reasons that they give you. So, and I'm pretty sure you're probably using some of these already too. So when you've got that caller that says, well, I'm just calling around or I got to check with so-and-so or I'm not sure about my dates yet, that's when you can talk about limited availability. And limited availability is, you can narrow it down to the room type or even the rate that's available. The rate that might be available right now may not be available even a couple of hours from now. So you're creating a sense of urgency. If it's, this time of year, what is your most popular room type at the hotel?
Really, it depends. Like during the week, it's usually the single, somebody just passing through, needing a room by themselves or that they're on business. But during like the weekends, the room with 2 queen beds sells quick because of the families coming through. So with spring break coming, everybody wants those big room types for their family.
And you know what? You can narrow it down to that specifically. So when they're like, well, let me call you back, we're not sure. You can tell them, well, those rooms with the 2 queen beds, they're the most popular this time of year, and they sell out quick. And you can always tell that caller, make the reservation now. You can always call us back and cancel, and then share the cancellation policy with them. But you're letting them know that you've got something that everybody in the world wants, and you still have it available, and they can still get it, and it's going to go quick. And I think that with sharing the cancellation policy with them, that really makes them feel okay about, all right, well, let me go ahead and lock it in, but I know I can always cancel if needed. And during spring break and summertime, what cancellation policy are y'all going with? Is it a 24, 48 hour?
Really, we're pretty lenient on our cancellation policy, but during spring break, it's typically the same. We actually do a 4 p.m. on the date of.
Okay.
So they can cancel all the way up till that day.
And that's if they're making the reservation directly with you. So I know that there's some of those darn third-party sites, right? And I'm curious. I wonder what the website says. I bet you the website says 24 hours. That's my best guess. I'm not positive. We'll make a note to look that up and see. Yeah. So if they're making a reservation through, let's say, Booking or Expedia, the third-party website has to follow the same cancellation policy that your website states. So when you've got that caller on the phone, and this is kind of creeping into the OTA phone calls a little bit, but when you've got somebody on the phone, if they're, thinking about making it through Booking or Expedia or whoever, let them know, hey, just so you know, if you make it through them, they're going to hold you to a 24-hour cancellation policy. But if you make it directly through us here at the hotel, we're a little bit more flexible and lenient. So if something does happen, we can certainly take a look at that and see if we can cancel it for you, same day or even 24. So talk them through that too, because that's definitely going to be one of the benefits of that caller making the reservation with you directly at the hotel as opposed to going through that third-party website where they won't work with them on cancellation, and y'all end up having to pay a commission and all that kind of stuff too. So
Yeah.
yeah. That's for a whole other session, and we'll have that one again soon, Mary. We can talk about that in more detail during that session. But yeah, I couldn't help but think about that because y'all are very flexible and lenient and understanding with the cancellation policy and all kinds of stuff at your hotel. And I just think that the callers, they don't realize how much better it is when they speak directly to somebody at the hotel than those other sites or even going through an 800
Yeah,
number.
I definitely stress that with guests when they come in and they're always asking, well, online it's cheaper. And I'm like, well, yeah, no problem. Let me look at it and I'll match it for you. And then I go into why I'll match it and why I would rather you book with me. And they always act very surprised, like they never knew that. So then they can use that in the future.
Yep. And you know what? More often than not, they don't know that. They're not aware of that. If they're making the reservation online on their own, all the information is there, but it's in very fine print. If they're calling directly to the OTA site, those agents will disclose only the information that's necessary. So, it's all going to be in the confirmation or whatever. So they figure, okay, well, we're still covered because they're going to get the information. But it's not like they offer up that information to the caller on their own. So yeah, anytime you've got that person that says, can you match it, or it's cheaper, or what's your rate, or can you double check and make sure my reservation came through, it is that opportunity for you to educate them on why it's better to make it through you as opposed to that third party site. And then you just win them over for every reservation in the future, which is great. That's the goal, right? It's to not let them go through that OTA site ever again, for sure.
Yeah.
The 2 to 3 additional benefits. So you mentioned that you don't have a swimming pool at the hotel. So that might be one of the things that they ask you for. Well, do y'all have a swimming pool? So you don't, but maybe you offer some alternatives to having a pool at the hotel. So what are some of the things that you can share with the caller that would be an alternative to having a swimming pool at the property?
Usually we're kind of a smaller property, but a good benefit that we do have is we're right off the interstate, and we do have free parking at the hotel. And, we're close to New Orleans, so a lot of hotels in New Orleans, they're charging you for parking. So I always like to mention, we are like 30 minutes from New Orleans, but we're right off the interstate and we have free parking here. So that's a big thing for people that are traveling to the area to visit New Orleans, knowing that they won't have to do the parking fees every day as well.
Oh, yeah. I actually used to train all of Louisiana. I had a lot of clients that I would go visit in person. And there was nowhere that I could go in the quarter or the CBD or any of that area without having a valet. I don't even know where my car went. I have no clue. It was a rental car, the valet ticket, no idea. No, I just totally put my faith in those valet guys that the rental car was going to be taken care of. We actually had a trainer with Signature who was very new with the company, and it was post Katrina, like real soon after Katrina. And she checks into the hotel, hands him the keys to the rental car, and, stays overnight, does the training, is done the next day, right, with training, comes down to get her rental car, and they couldn't find it. They gave her rental car away to somebody else. That's how messy and unorganized it still was. Oh my God. And, yeah, imagine if your rental car is gone, and then just being a brand new, a newer employee with a new company, and holy cow, what do I do now? So yeah, it was kind of crazy, kind of scary. Yes. I know that Louisiana, like Texas, right, parts of Texas and Louisiana, not really known for public transportation, and we don't have like subways and trains and
Mhm.
that kind of stuff, monorail and that kind of stuff. But even just being able to share with the guests that you're right off of I-10, and even where they could park, and then to be in that area, and then just walk around if they've never been out in that part of New Orleans, how easy it is to walk around, and they may not even have to park right. I don't even know if you can park in the quarter, because I never found parking there, that's for sure. I didn't
It's hard
try,
to
but
find.
it is. Yeah, I mean, I had one client that was in the quarter, and thank God I would just pull in, and they would take my vehicle, but yeah, so I never had to try to find parking on my own, but I can't imagine that's very easy. So being able to share that information is great. Spring break, summertime, lots of families that are coming in, right in Slidell, Pearl River, right in that area. What kind of stuff do y'all have for the families to do right in that area?
There is not too much, to be honest. I need to do more research on what there is to do, because I'm getting that question constantly, and it's just, I don't really have much to tell them for the direct area that we're in. We do have like the swamp tours, everything's in New Orleans, and then there's some things in Mississippi as well. And now that we're sitting here talking about it and us not having a pool, I'm thinking, they're calling, do you have a pool? I could be like, no, but it's just a 20-minute drive to the beach. So that's
there
something
you
I
go.
could be saying to, distract them from that. Like, no, we don't have a pool.
Absolutely.
But, we're right by the beach.
And that's crazy to think that you're only a 20-minute drive from the beach. That's the beauty of being on the east side of New Orleans, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even the swamp tours, that's cool. You have a swimming pool everywhere that you go, but you don't always get an opportunity to do a swamp tour when you've got your kids out here for spring break or vacation. Yeah, that's something they might not have even thought about. And it's been a little while since I've been out there in person, but wasn't there a giant amusement park in Slidell? I thought there was. Like a Six Flags or something. What am I thinking of?
There was one in New Orleans East, like on your way to New Orleans. It was closer to us, but they closed that down. I'm not sure when, but no, but they do have a couple things. Like they added in a jump park. We have your typical stuff like the movie theater and a bowling alley and stuff like that. So I do bring that up. But those kinds of things you can find in any city. So I hate to say those things. I like to say more unique things.
Well, I love swamp tour. I love 20-minute drive to the beach, and really with the additional benefits, when it's something that you don't have, you let them know we don't have that. However, and then you fill it in with those alternatives, to not having the swimming pool, and I love the idea of the beach and the swamp tour, and then then of course there's always the movie theater, the bowling alley, and the jump park, close by. So we're not just telling them, sorry, no pool, no fun for your kids. You're really providing them some really cool, unique alternatives. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. The stuff that you do have, when they go, well, do you guys have this? And maybe it was guest laundry facilities, right? They've got kids vacation. You go, heck yeah, we've got the laundry facilities, and we've also got the soap and the fabric softener here. We'll give you as many quarters as you want, and if you want to, splurge and do same day dry cleaning, we have that too. So when it's something that you have, you tell them we've got it, and then you just give them more, more for the money with some additional benefits that really complement what they were looking for. I think that I love the additional benefits because I think it's really an opportunity for you to just build bigger value and build a bigger picture for your caller on what you have to offer at the hotel and in the area. I think it's a great opportunity to do that, especially when they ask for something specific. Then you know how to really just kind of capitalize on that. It's really great. Fallback rate was something you also mentioned. That was one of the more common reasons you hear on why they don't make reservations. So you're an inn and suites. Typically, do you typically have a lot of suites to offer, or do the suites tend to sell out first?
I usually have those left the most because they are the most expensive.
Okay. Walk me through what one of your suites looks like. King bed, two queen beds.
It's one queen bed, so it's the biggest room type we have with the one queen bed. There is a sofa that pulls out into a full-size bed, and then there's an extra kind of like a sitting area, bar area that the other rooms don't have, with an additional sink that the other rooms don't have as well. And then you have
Nice.
your typical stuff. There's a partial wall that separates the queen bed from the sofa pull out. So at
From
least
that
when you're
sitting
sleeping,
area.
you have like, yeah, you have a little bit of privacy, but it is one big room.
I love that. And you know, I think that when people hear the word suite, they all picture something different in their head, probably based on their previous experience or, you know, whatever. They've got some picture in their head of what a suite looks like. So the way that you just describe your suite, I think is fantastic. You know, it's one big room. It's like a studio. It's open floor plan, but you got a little bit of privacy when you go to bed with the half wall. It's the largest room at the hotel, right? Does it have one or two TVs in it?
Just one, unfortunately.
One big one, but I bet it rotates from side to side. Yeah.
I'm not sure if it does, to be honest, but it should. You can at least see it when you're in the sofa bed, I know for sure.
Well, there you go. If you can see it from everywhere, then that's all that matters. Like, that's what's important to me, is the television.
That's it.
I'm a big TV fanatic. And then I think about, you know, like I mentioned, my nephews are here. We literally have, and it's all because of me, there's a TV in every single room of the house, including my office and my bathroom. And, you know, and my nephews come over and they kind of just like take over the television, you know. So there's like SpongeBob and Blue's Clues, and like, what about what I want to watch? You know, so just, you know, the ability to be able to watch what you want, or even just, you know, if you got the one TV, if it's with the kids and they can watch what's you know, going to make them happy, that's always a big plus also. Yeah. So I want you to maybe kind of think about selling a new way, Mary. So because fallback rate, how much difference is there between your traditional rooms and the suites? How much of a rate difference is there? Is it like $10, $20 difference?
Yeah, it's usually about $10 or so, give or take.
That's not very much, by the way. When you explain the suite the way that you did, with the privacy and the sitting area, and then that, you know, and then you've got the full-size sofa, you know, when you're ready for it, and you've got the wet bar with the sink and the microwave and the refrigerator. For just $10 more, they'd be silly not to take it. To have all that extra space and the extra amenities. So I want you to, when you go to quote rates, I want you to describe the suite just like you did, and I want you to be that. I want that to be the first rate that you quote. The worst thing they can say is, "No, it's too much. What else you got?" And now you can drop down to your traditional rooms. But if they don't know that you have it, they'll never reserve it, right? And then at the end of the day, and you told me you work the 3 to 11 shift, so when you get those walk-ins, typically it's the suites that you have left to sell. If you've got your traditional rooms at the lower rate for the walk-ins or the last-minute reservations, that's, in their mind, that's the quote-unquote more desirable room type because it's the more affordable rate. So you'll be filling up on walk-ins and last-minute reservations, too. You're going to be like a selling machine at your hotel.
Yeah, that is smart.
Do that. I mean, if you start high, you can always work your way down. But if we start with, you know, the family, and you've got traditional room, 2 queen beds, microwave, refrigerator, you quote the rate, and they go, it's a little bit more than what we were looking for. Now you got to try to figure out, do they qualify for any discounts? Are they a rewards member? Can I give them that rate? You know, that kind of thing. So, but if you start with that suite at that, you know, just $10 higher, $20, or whatever it is in the traditional room, you can work your magic through that. And then if that's still not working, you can drop down to the traditional rooms. It makes it a lot easier to manage that rate resistance. That's for sure. Yeah. Try that and let me know how that's working for you. I'd love to hear it. Yeah. You know, the other fallback option that's out there is the 100% satisfaction guarantee. There's some brands out there that they just, I mean, it's literally embedded in stone at the front desk, like at a Hampton. It's on a key card. I mean, all that kind of stuff. While y'all do not have that embedded in stone at your front desk, you do still live by that same philosophy. And it's not the fallback option that you have to offer first. it's certainly one that you could go to if you've exhausted everything else and they're just still kind of on the fence and I'm not sure and, we're not familiar with the Microtel brand or, whatever it might be. Or we've never stayed in Pearl River before. Just let them know how fantastic you are and that, they're going to have a great stay. And if not, they can personally come and find you and you will make sure that they're, that they're going to be happy. I'm sure you don't have any problem saying that to a caller because I know you've got a wonderful property. And I know that you've got managers who 1,000% support you and everything you do to make a customer happy because I've talked to them many times. They're really wonderful. Yeah, I think you have a great support team there. That's for sure. So it's just letting that caller know that they can be really confident making that reservation with you. And you're just going to do everything in your power and within reason to make sure that they're going to enjoy the stay. If, maybe you even want them to go read your TripAdvisor reviews. I don't know if you've gone to see them. If you're going to offer TripAdvisor reviews, make sure there's good ones out there. I'm sure there are. But, that's a nice way for them to kind of go and get the real customer perspective, right, by reading through the reviews. You could even send them there if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Can you think of any other tools that you might need or that might have come up when it comes to why they don't want to make the reservation and kind of the ways to overcome that? Or you think what you've got in front of you is going to help you to overcome all those no's from the caller?
I feel like as of right now, I feel like I would be able to. There's a couple things that I've learned with you just now that I didn't think about, when people do say no. So definitely it's going to help, for future calls.
I love hearing that. And, you don't have to wait for these web sessions. If you ever want to reach out to me, you certainly can just at any time, shoot me an email or call me or send me a text and say, hey, can we go through that? And of course, our coaching department, you've had a lot of experience with them and it feels like it's all been very positive and helpful. And I love hearing that because I think our coaching team is amazing. So I'm happy that you're comfortable going to them too. So I'm happy to hear that everything's working for you. Yeah, that's really good. What additional questions do you have about the resistance question or the fallback options on how to overcome their reasons for saying no, or really just the entire reservations process or anything that we're doing together? Any questions that you have for me?
I don't necessarily have any questions. It's just the fact that I feel like for other people, you just have to practice this. Because I've been working in the hotel business for a long while. Since 2011, I've been working in hotels, and I've never been trained on how to do a phone call. They just tell you answer, thank you for calling so-and-so hotel, how can I help you? And then go from there, and then when I started working at the Microtel and the Wingate, and then this came in to play, I was like, I'm so used to doing it this way. It's hard for me to change what I say. And then with doing practice calls with, signature on demand and just practicing it, it definitely helps. So that's all you can really do,
Thank you so much for sharing that. You sound like me. And I'm not, oh, you sound like me, yay, like you're a clone. But I was the exact same way. I had been in the industry for a long time, and then I started working with a hotel that was using this. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not how I usually take reservation calls or manage those. And so I had to retrain myself on how I would, take these phone calls. And I recognized a huge difference in everything, the conversations, the interactions, how much easier it was for me to lead the conversation, to make the reservations. I'm a talker, clearly. So if somebody called and they had a lot of questions, I was happy to answer them, but I was never the one in control of the phone calls. So it really helped me to see how all this, gift of gab that I have, how that could benefit me on those phone calls. So I love hearing that you're feeling all the positive effects of that, and that you see the value in the practicing and all the tools that are out there. You're like a dream front office employee, and thank you for that. I appreciate it very much. Yeah.
No problem. And that is another thing with taking control of the call. That's what it is all about. Like I just let the call roll through how it did, and then when I talked to somebody with Signature on Demand, they were like, well, what you need to do is just go through everything and you be in control, and then at the end let them ask their questions and get what they need to get in. And I was like, that's really a good idea. So I've been using that, and my calls have been getting better and better every time, I feel like.
That's fantastic. And it's so busy, you know, and it's even busier now. You know, God bless y'all for everything that you have to do at the desk. You know, you're probably one person doing everything, especially on that 3 to 11 shift, you know? And so if you can make this part of the day of your 8-hour shift a little more efficient because you're in control, that, you know, that certainly helps make the entire day a little bit easier too. Yeah, I know those callers that, you know, if you let them, they would just ramble on and on for, you know, however long, not realizing there's the stuff going on. And that's fine. They don't need to realize that. But yeah, it definitely puts you in control and makes everything just more efficient for you and for the caller. So it's really a win-win on there. Yeah. I love hearing that. Yeah. Well, I am going to follow up with the training moments, as I mentioned, and then also the example of all the additional resistance questions. But the one that you're using now is fantastic. Keep using it. It's great. It's working for you. It's everything we want it to be. And you feel, it sounds like you feel really comfortable with it. And that's a big part. It's for you to be comfortable asking that. Keep calling into coaching, not only to, you know, continue with the resistance question, but even now talking through those fallback options that we reviewed also, and anything else that you ever want to skill practice with them. They will take you as far as you want to go within that phone call, or even service related scenarios. They'll talk you through some of that, and the OTA inquiry phone calls. If you ever have questions about those, the coaches will support that set of reservation skills, that whole process on walking them through the value of, you know, staying with you or making it with you as opposed to going through the OTA. They support everything that Signature does out there. So they will talk to you about anything and all that you need. And of course, you can always reach out to me too. If you want to talk directly to me, you certainly can.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, oh, sure. It's my pleasure. Thank you again for doing this at home on your day off while your son, by the way, your son is so good. He's so well behaved.
Yeah. He's starting to get angry now.
That's a reflection on his mom, by the way. What's his name?
Christopher.
Christopher. Well, Christopher is a good boy. So, yeah. He's welcome to attend these whenever he wants. How about that?
Okay. Awesome.
All right. Perfect. Mary, thanks again. If you need anything, feel free to reach out at any time. And again, I appreciate you being on here today, and enjoy the rest of the evening with Christopher.
Okay. Thank you. You take care.
All right. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.